Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. On Thursday, President Trump made his first official visit to the United Kingdom. We started off on a controversial note in an interview with Britain's Sun newspaper, where he said that Prime Minister Theresa May had failed to follow his advice on how to negotiate with the European Union, and that the country will probably not get a trade deal with the United States if the Prime Minister's Brexit plan goes ahead. President Trump later backtracked over stinging criticism against Theresa May's Brexit plans at a joint news conference with the Prime Minister, where he called the Sun interview fake news because he did not include his positive comments about Prime Minister May. Let's take a look at the footage.
When you look at what we've done in terms of Russia, I guarantee whoever it is in Russia, they're saying, oh, gee, do we wish that Trump was not the victor in that election. We have been far tougher on Russia than anybody, and probably than, look, I'm not going to go down 100 years, but certainly we have been extremely tough on Russia, including the fact that when the Prime Minister called, when they had a horrible thing happen right here, very close by, she asked, would I do something, and maybe I'd let you tell the number, and it was far greater than anybody else, including the Prime Minister. We expelled how many people? 60. 60. And Germany did 3, as an example. So Germany, big country, powerful country, they did 3. The fake news doesn't want to talk about it. So it really is. We have been very strong on Russia. Yes, there was fighting because I said, you got to put up more money. We have to be stronger. We have to be unified. The headline he sees isn't what's happening during the morning. The headline he sees is what happened in the afternoon, where we came together as one, where they're putting up billions of dollars more. I'll give you an example. And you know this is a confirmed number. $34 billion more was raised since I became president in NATO. That means that the other 28 countries have put in $34 billion more into NATO. Do you think Putin's happy about that? I don't think so. But we have a lot of false reporting in this country. I don't think you have that in your country, do you?
Well, Toriba, let me come to you. I mean, this looks like a nice part of that visit. Thousands of, Britons trooped out onto the streets to protest. There were banners, there were protests, there were complaints. Looks like it was a very unpopular visit. And, President Trump himself did not help matters, okay, with some of the comments that he made. But what do we make out of the visit?
Well, it's a visit that has been due much earlier than now, but had been postponed, for various reasons. Not least because of popular opposition to the visit. The parliamentarians, had been, calling upon the Queen not to let Mr. Trump visit the United Kingdom. But finally, he has arrived. And, apart from the protests that greeted, his presence, I would have thought that those protests were mild, given the strength of the sentiments that had been expressed, against him.
Really?
Yeah. The
streets of London were filled with protesters.
Yeah, I mean, you would have...
thousands of them.
Well, the resentment, that had been, expressed, towards Mr. Trump by prominent Britons and the parliaments in particular. So finally, the visit came, and...
Well, Prof, you are the international affairs expert. What do you make of this? What are the gains of this visit? At least one of the gains I can see is that, President Trump reconnected with his ancestral roots because he later visited Scotland and, and all of that. But, talking seriously.
There are many ways of looking at it. Depending on what you want to consider, you may say, well, there are gains. But the gains, when compared with
the embarrassment,
I think you should not talk about any gain at all. The first point is that Donald Trump left Brussels with the expectation that what he forgot in the UK, he will remember to take it. And what did he really forget? He thought that he forgot honor, prestige, regard for the United States. And he wanted to go back there and just take his valise diplomatic, right, and just carry them back home. But the expectation was not to be. First of all, his own attitude, his disregard for protocol and diplomatic etiquette was the first cause of his embarrassment. In general international diplomatic practice, you don't walk in front of your host. It's not done. You are supposed to be led, all right, by your host. And at the end of the day, the best that will happen, if there is a serious, close rapport between you and the host, you can be
side by side.
Side by side.
Yeah.
But now, Donald Trump not only went to the Queen's place, he embarrassed himself, he embarrassed the people of the United States by thinking that protocol doesn't matter. Now, that was his first source of embarrassment. And the people were seriously aggrieved that, look, the Queen is their own symbol. It's their own God, whether you like it or not. It's their small God here. But you came from America to come and Americanize your visit in an English setting. Please, it's a serious problem. The second thing, in terms of diplomatic protocol, please, it is strictly prohibited for a visiting president to interfere, to intervene
in the domestic affairs.
In the domestic affairs. Now, even though Article 2, Paragraph 7 of the UN Charter provides that nation states should refrain from intervening in domestic affairs over which the state has exclusive responsibility. The issue now is that Donald Trump went to the extent of criticizing the Prime Minister Theresa May and now praising Johnson, the opposition elements.
Boris Johnson. Saying
now,
that he will make a better Prime Minister.
Precisely. Now, when you look at this, please, for God's sake, probably he can do that one to the British. But he must never try to come to Nigeria and do that, even as a very weak country when compared with Britain and America.
So if he does it, what will Nigeria do to him?
We won't do anything, but we will exactly protest against that. Please, when we are talking about protest, it's not just demonstrating on the streets. The Murray, the grandson of this Labour Party man, who had been organizing, leading various protests, now came up with what they call Trump baby, this sky.
Yeah, that balloon.
Now, that balloon. And now, to suggest, if you look at the commentary on it, is to say that, look, since Donald Trump does not put himself in the highly elevated position to which he should normally belong, and he behaves like a street boy, now they decided to put that one and bring him down. That's the concept of the balloon.
But is it fair to insult a visiting president?
To insult a visiting president?
Or to embarrass a visiting president?
Well, not for the embarrass. It's not saying that. Well, the point is that the comments he made, I don't think, were made when he arrived in England. It was published by a newspaper around the time he arrived. He had given the comment earlier and he was responding to the Prime Minister's statement about the likelihood that Brexit may not happen, which was why, some people had also, exited.
No, that's not the truth.
So he was saying, no, it was not
Continue.
Go ahead, he will respond to you.
So, well, he's the diplomat. So he knows whether that is in line with diplomatic etiquette or not, you know. But the point is that, well, the visit was turned out more or less ceremonial. You know, it wasn't one in which even in government circles you could say that, you know, he was widely embraced or welcomed.
It was initially conceptualized to be a state visit.
It was well.
But because of the attitudinal disposition of Donald Trump, it was changed to a working visit. There was no state dinner. All right? It was just made to visit
the Queen,
yes, and that's all.
Meet the Prime Minister, kind of, you know.
Yes.
But of course, I mean, what is more important is the fact that in terms of symbolism,
it
sends out very good signal about the relationship between Britain and the United States.
Yes, let's hope.
Who have been old-time allies, of course, you know.
Yes. Let's hope.
Before Trump and hopefully after Trump.
Let's hope it will get more constructive going on. It's just a start. And let's hope that opposition to Mr. Trump's and his views about, you know, his comments, his actions about...
But in the long term...
Divisive comments and stuff.
In the long term, this is not just about President Trump. This is about relationship between two countries. Two sovereign states.
Yeah, but people see Trump. You know, they have nothing against the United States, so they have everything against the individual.
Anyway, on that note,
Trump.
We'll take another short break here on This Day Live, this Sunday talk show. When we return, we'll be discussing President Buhari's commissioning of the Abuja Light Rail project. Don't go away. Welcome back to This Day Live, this Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday commissioned the 45.3 kilometers phase 1 Abuja Light Rail Mass Transit project, which cost about $23.5 million. The president commended the Chinese government and its construction firm that handled the project, as well as the China Exim Bank for the conclusion of the project, saying, and I quote, "The project will impact on the people in terms of better transportation, job creation, and enhance their social lives." End of quote. However, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has flayed President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress for allegedly attempting to claim credit for the rail project. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondiyan, the PDP said, I quote again, "Nigerians are aware that the project was conceptualized, initiated, and policy propelled by the PDP." Now, Terrible, I'll start with you. Now, it looks like PDP and APC, they are perpetually competing over credit and over who does what and who didn't do what. Is this about, really, APC and PDP, or the fact that it's a good development and our government is continuous?
We should not start with the partisan sentiment.
Okay.
The important thing is that, you know, this rail project became a reality, and it is commendable. It's good for Abuja, but it's not only good for Abuja. You hope that you find, you know, more of this springing off in other parts of the country, you know, in particular Lagos, which is the, you know,
I don't know whether you have seen the pictures. It looks quite impressive. But it's not about pictures,
it
right?
will be.
It's about how it is managed, how it is maintained, and the quality of service delivery.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good development. 43 kilometers, you said. You know, we should, if we can't, it can't be too ambitious if you say you want something like that in each state, you know, of the federation. It's going to make a difference. It's good. And for, you know, who should take credit? Well, it's not the person that starts that deserves the credit, because it's the person that, you know, finished it. So, yeah, the president can be commended.
You didn't want to make a partisan statement. Now you are making a partisan statement.
This is a general saying, you know.
No. You are now being partisan.
Starting is not as crucial as finishing.
You see, Ruben, I know why. I have seen why Nigeria has not been able to make progress. 2 steps forward, 1,000 steps backward. The mere fact that in this country we refuse to acknowledge and give acknowledgement to who it is due, that is why we are in this problem. The bitter truth is that, look, Muhammadu Buhari came to power 2015. This program, this Abuja rail project, started 9 years back. That means that some people had been there before. So, if you are making any public statement speech, what prevents you from acknowledging? All right? The truth is that Olusegun Obasanjo laid the foundation. Goodluck Jonathan, all right, built it to the DPC level. Even
beyond that, he commissioned the trains.
Now, Muhammadu Buhari completed it by roofing, by doing all those things. Now, the truth is that a country that does not emphasize records keeping and gives wrong impression cannot grow.
No, there's no wrong impression. He just commissioned.
No,
you know.
You see, what we are saying, when Ruben drew the attention, whether it is party rivalry, one on the neck of the other, I'm saying no, far from it. It is a question of documentation. Let the younger generation know the genesis, etc., rather than being given the impression that this is precisely a project of the APC. I quite agree with you in your submission that, look, it has been completed. That in itself can be a feat because Muhammadu Buhari made it clear that all uncompleted projects, he will make efforts to complete them. That in itself we can give him as a credit. But it should not be presented to the generality of the public as if it was conceived, initiated, to borrow the words of Kola Ologbondiyan there. So that's the first point. The second point to note about the project itself is that, look, it only reminds me of how political governance in Nigeria has always been managed, done, to the detriment of the interests of the people. Please, as far back as 1984, do not forget that the Japanese and the French were in competition to build the Lagos Metro line. All right? At the end of the day, the amount of money expended on this Abuja rail for 45.3 kilometers is $23.5 million. Whereas that of Lagos Metro line, which was supposed to be done by a consortium of French companies, Infra, now it was supposed to be 689 million naira, not dollars.
Yeah, that's
Prof, I know you have a chapter on the Lagos Metro line in one of your books, but he made a point earlier on that, you know, this rail project should not just be in Abuja, that perhaps it's a better form of transportation to link different parts of Nigeria and to open up other cities in Nigeria. That is the
point I was driving at. You see, this was already there. It's part of the agenda. Lateef Jakande had this and was supposed to be financed by the Lagos state government. The federal government was just to be a guarantor. But at the end of the day, the government, the federal government, frustrated the project, a contract, to the extent now that when the matter was taken to a court of arbitration in Europe, the money, the allegation according to which the cost of procuring the Lagos Metro line was too expensive. Now, the government of Nigeria had to pay what it said was expensive as damages to the company.
For breach of contract.
For breach of contract. Now, in Lagos, as at now, we have the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Project too. They are currently doing that. All right. Although, it would have been better if we had not cancelled or breached the agreement for the
There's even a plan in place, you know, by the Ministry of Transportation to link parts of the Southwest, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja
Yes.
rail line. Hopefully, they will also be able to complete that. But whatever government can do to make life easier for people, to make transportation easy. There's even a proposal to launch a national carrier, an Air Nigeria project. Although if you look at that, if you look at the details, it looks like a very questionable proposal. Anyway, we'll take another break here on This Day Live, this Sunday talk show. When we return, we'll be discussing the World Cup. Don't go away. We'll be